Hello, my name is Ian Prosser from Botanica Design in Tampa, and I'm here today with Accent Decor to show you some of the newest products in our industry for weddings and special events. In this video, we're going to talk about the uses for the superior hanger. You know, nowadays, so many events, both weddings and social events, call for suspended pieces over the dance floor, over a cake table, over a head table. We used to have to rig these with chicken wire and pipe, but now Accent Decor have come up with a whole collection of these hangers. It already has chains attached, and it has loops here that the chain's attached to, and it has a very deep reservoir for water. So when we put the floral foam into the container, we don't have to worry about dripping. The vessel is big enough that it will catch any excess water that the stems push out of the foam as we insert the blooms themselves. I'm gonna start by adding the floral foam, and this holds about 5 blocks, and it has a generous space either side and all the way around. It's a good idea when you're doing something like this that you go from side to side and balance it, otherwise it will throw the whole thing off kilter. Make sure that your foam is sufficiently soaked, and for those of us that don't wish to use foam, you can use crumpled chicken wire in here in order to create an armature to insert your stems. It's a very sensible thing to check with the venue to make sure that they are okay with you hanging something. Most modern hotels now have hanging points in the ceiling, and you can also use it in a tent, but a tent has to have a special clamp or airline cables strung between all poles to allow us to hang this on. Now that we have the foam in the container, we're going to start and put this together. The best thing to do is to create a foundation, and I'm going to do that by inserting all of the hydrangea that I have for it first. And then I'm going to take one variety of flowers at a time and distribute it through the entire design so that we don't run out of anemones by the time we get to this end here. So we're going to use all sides of the foam. We need to establish the height, and we need to have some cascading forward. The hanger is very well finished, but at the same time we want to hide that so that the client and the guest do not see the mechanics of the actual piece. Hydrangea well inserted, it likes water. Try and take them right down to the bottom of the container if you can. Giving it dimension by taking some of the hydrangea to the back of the foam, particularly if it's going to be viewed from all ways around. All right, so we've got our basic foundation of the hydrangea here, and now we're going to use the different varieties of flowers just to fill the whole thing in. And initially I'm going to use this beautiful viburnum, which is hydrangea also, so it also needs a good amount of water. You know, if you're selective as to how you cut it, you can get many insertions out of one stem. The chartreuse color is a great neutral. When you sell something that's all whites and greens, the very important thing is that you use many different varieties of product because we need more details and more layers of texture. You can see how it's starting to really fill in here. We're going to use very little foliage today, but give this still a very loose and open effect, which is very on trend right now. Now, before you sell something like viburnum, please remember that we need to be conscious of the fact that it's only sold at certain times of year because it only grows at certain times of year. So don't sell it in the summertime because it's not going to be around. So we're going to insert different textures to give us layers and layers of detail. And this is a brassica, or commonly known as ornamental cabbage. So when we get the cabbage, the leaves are all turned upwards. But what you want to do is just pop your thumb in the back there and make it open out so that it looks more flower-like. We're going to do perhaps a group of 2 here, and then we'll do another group further along. Now we're going to insert some hanging amaranthus, which is also very seasonal. Now you can either leave the foliage on or you can nip it off. I tend to take a few off just so that it exposes this chenille quality of the cascading amaranthus here. This chartreuse that we already have in here with viburnum is now being helped along the way with the different texture in the same color. The next flower that we're going to use is the lisianthus. And I'm going to just generally salt and pepper this through the arrangement, but the more specialty type products I'm grouping. This is now going to give us some really great dimension. That's really important when you're doing something that's monochromatic. Something like this at an event, you would want the lighting company to pin spot this feature because there's going to be a lot of money spent on it. It's a very wonderful statement, and at the same time, you want it really to be noticed. Olive is very on trend right now, so let's use the olive, giving it a nice sharp cut. And it's best when foliage has a curve on it like this, to curve it up the way as opposed to downwards, because to some people it would give the illusion that it was dying when it's not. It's very firm, but it does have this natural curve to it. Now that we've given this a good base with the hydrangea, the brassica, the lisianthus and such like, the primo flowers that we're going to use in this are the anemones. So I'm going to group these because I want these to be noticed, since these are some of the most expensive flowers that are in the design. And now the anemones. It's very nice just to include some in the reception pieces so that you have a complete follow through of texture and variety of flower. So the last thing that we're going to add to it is some of the white garden roses. You know, gently brush it just the way you would fluff a carnation. So here we have this very uncontrived, almost untidy presentation of the floral. Very little foliage, so we need to remember that as you're pricing things out. But it gives you a really fun, very dimensional piece to suspend above a table. Follow the steps that I gave you by building a good foundation, filling this with water to make sure that the hydrangeas have plenty of water, and then also grouping your product, then each flower becomes a whole lot more important. So there we are. We've added the finishing touch. We've created a tablescape beneath the superior hanger. It's a really great look with the different objects, the different candlesticks at several different heights. We've used some ivory candles and some white candles to give us some dimension, because that coloration we're seeing in the floral. The hanger allows us to have blooms cascading over the table. The scale is correct, the proportion is correct. So altogether, it's just a wonderful composition that would make any event special. So thank you for watching. We hope you found this both inspirational and educational. To find these products, please go to accentdecor.com, and we'll see you next time.